Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation podcast live with me, your host Owen, and my co-host all the way from Canada, Victoria Searle. Victoria, how are you doing?
I am good. I'm trying to get over yesterday's emotional state when that final whistle blew and watching the players walk around. But I know we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail. But other than that, I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Owen? You collected
I'm,
yourself now?
I'm good. Yeah, I've just been running around again, doing the dad job again. But yeah, back
Of
and
course.
back and ready to talk about some Rangers football and obviously look back on yesterday's game and also obviously look at
Yeah.
those five guys who are moving on at the end of the season. Obviously, I think some of us forgetting perhaps there's still one game to go. St Mirren
Yeah.
away on Saturday, 12:30. I think it is kickoff. And obviously, more good news yesterday, of course, that lot from the other side of the city lost 4-2. And they're still trying to squirm
Exactly.
about that. They're squirming. They are squirming. And also another one that Dundee United are probably going to be relegated. So, it's not all bad news.
It's not all bad news. Exactly. Things are looking up. It's just unfortunate that Celtic kind of are coming down at the end of the season. It should have been the opposite way around for us.
Yeah, absolutely. A few people in the live chat already. Got Ibrox Noise says hello everyone. He then backs it up, or she backs it up with a comment. Cantwell is an absolute legend, which I would agree with. And I know this vlogging with Victoria that keeps appearing in the live chat. She agrees as well and says hello.
Ooh,
Who is she, Victoria?
not a clue.
Is it your twin sister? She looks strangely familiar. I've also got
Maybe.
Stephen Gillespie says evening troops, and Callum C says evening. So that's for now. Okay, so last night, Victoria, obviously 2-2 final home game at Ibrox. What were your general thoughts about the game yesterday?
So I thought that we played okay. We definitely could have played a lot better than we did with our defending and all that. But I mean, what tore me apart was that last goal that Hearts got. It was literally in the very, very last second, and what a way to make a goal. And I felt so bad for McGregor just because it is probably his last game, and to have a goal like that come in so much at the last minute is kind of heartbreaking. But obviously we had Cantwell and we had Fashion goals, so that was good. And it was a nice little surprise to see Fashion score. It seems like he's trying to boost his confidence to come up again. Cantwell, well, I mean, what can I say? I feel like he's scoring every time he comes on right now. But that last goal by Hearts definitely just absolutely killed me. I couldn't believe it. Oh, in the last second,
I
teeny
know.
tiny last second. What was your thoughts with that one?
I mean, overall, the game, I thought it wasn't a great performance. I thought there was a few players that had a couple of few off days there going last night. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was the emotion. Maybe it was the atmosphere. Maybe it was kind of I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Hearts needed it a little bit more than we did. I mean, look, at the end of the day,
Yeah,
for us, the season's been over for a little while now, and we're going to finish second. We're 32 points clear. Aberdeen in third. Hearts were still fighting for something, whereas we weren't.
yeah,
I think both the goals that we conceded were just awful defending, absolutely
yeah,
shocking defending. And hope
yeah.
that's something we've got to cut out for next season. The goals, I thought the link up between Morelos and Cantwell was fantastic. And Cantwell just showing what an absolute class act he is. And we'll talk about the goals in a little bit more depth in
Mm.
a minute. And obviously the sakala goal. First thing he did right on the live stream, I did criticise Fashion a fair few times as well. So
Yes, you do.
so there's a few people in more in the live chat. We've got obviously Gallant Pioneer saying evening all. The Trying
Mhm.
Scotsman, I think, is trying to upset you, Victoria.
I think he is too. I definitely think he is. I say no, we're not going to sell Haji.
Gallant Pioneer says Merlos trying to set about Naismith was the highlight for him. We'll talk about that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Once we get decent invested players at 9 will be hunky dory, says Stephen. And the Trying Scotsman, I think, is
Mm.
laughing because obviously I responded saying, "You're trying to make Victoria cry. We don't want Victoria in tears tonight."
Victoria was already crying last night, so at the whole game, not just in general, but at the game.
Or
So
was
just
it really,
another
Victoria?
day.
Were you really crying because Hadji didn't get on? Was that what it was?
You know what? I expected him not to get on. Basically, given the whole situation that was going on, give those five players an opportunity or whatever to prove themselves, to show themselves. To me, it was more of like you said, the season is over for us. The game doesn't mean as much as it did to the other team that we were playing against. So it was almost like I don't want to say showcase, but a little bit of a showcase game to me.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, of the 2 goals we conceded, if we kind of put them together a little bit, I mean, I've kind of already touched on it there by saying the defending was absolutely shocking for those 2 goals,
Of
wasn't it? And
course, yeah.
I mean, the first goal, Tavernier, I'm not quite sure what he's doing on the line, and the second goal, Ryan Jack could have cleared it, Suter could have cleared it, and it was a complete mess, wasn't it, Victoria?
Yeah, I mean, these are silly mistakes that we haven't just seen in the game that we just watched against Hearts, but games that we've seen in the past. We've already said the same thing. We're like, okay, we need to fix this, we need to fix that. And it's been an unfortunate thing that's happened continually throughout the season. And it's just unfortunate that we happen to be kind of ending on the same note, not learning from our mistakes as we should be. But I guess that gives the team a little bit more motivation looking towards next season, what they do have to fix and what they have no option to fix because we need to win next season. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. And
Mm-hmm.
it says Gallant Pioneer says here, Jack set the boy up for the equaliser. I mean, he did. It was a bit of a howler from Ryan Jack last night. Giving the ball away to
Yeah.
setting up that Kuol, was it? I'm not quite sure what the guy's name was to obviously score that equalising goal. So not good at all.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 2 goals that we scored. I mean, Todd Cantwell, absolute class act again, wasn't he, Victoria, last night? And that goal, superbly taken.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, he's someone that I feel like is a really good team player. And he's shown that from the moment he stepped on the pitch at Ibrox from first coming to the team. So I think he's someone that we're going to see in the future continually do that. And I don't know, maybe we could see him as a future captain.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I've heard as well. A lot of people talking about him as a future captain of the team,
Yeah,
not just for the way he plays, but the heart that he plays with, the bottle he plays with, the fight he plays with as well. He's
exactly.
constantly getting stuck in. And one thing for me about Cantwell, Victoria, is whether it's the
Mhm.
first minute or the 90th minute, he is still running as hard and closing down as hard as he does in that first minute.
100%. He's one of those players that I definitely agree with you. He wants it. He has a passion for it. He has a drive for it. And no matter what the score is, even if we were losing really, really badly, he's not going to stop fighting. And that shows tremendously in the way that he plays. And I believe as well as like it shows in the way that he's hopefully going to encourage, if you're not already encouraged, our other players to play the same way, have that great communication on the pitch, and play as a team, play as a family, not as individual players trying to get a goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. Curry, the legend that is Curry Muncher in the live chat, one of your biggest fan, Victoria, said it was a training game and a chance to say goodbye to the players leaving.
Yeah,
Did look a bit like
exactly. I
that, didn't
agree
it,
with you so
Curry?
much.
And Gallant says here, Kamara was abysmal. I didn't think Kamara played particularly well last night. I think he's kind of checked out, and I think that was kind of a farewell to Kamara as well. What was your take on Kamara last night, Victoria?
I think he was okay, but he didn't play his best. Like I said, it was more of like that kind of showcasey game. It's not a game that I feel like every player would look at as and like, okay, we have to win this game. This is important. If we don't win this game, we'll lose the season. I feel like some players are, let's say, flopping a little bit because they've already got that mindset of, well, it's over. What are we going to do? So why am I going to put in all the effort, right? And then you have players like we just spoke, like Cantwell, that goes on the pitch and seems to have that mindset that no matter what the score is, no matter where you are in the leaderboard, even if it is over, you're never going to stop. So Kamara, I
Absolutely.
think, needs to pull up his socks a little bit. But like we spoke about in the past, you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games. That was just maybe not his best, but he's not a bad player. That's the thing. He's not a bad player. He's obviously still on the team for a reason. And we'll have to see what happens in the future.
So Callum says he feels that Kamara stopped playing when he didn't get his move away last summer. He was linked with a move to Nice, I think it was last summer. I think
Yeah,
Kamara
something
will
like
be
that.
gone. I think Kamara will be gone at the season's end. I think he's one of those players that they will try and
Mm.
get a fee for, whether it's £1-2 million, obviously, which is not as much, I think, as Nice offered last summer. But I think we've got to remember we
Yeah,
only paid £50,000 for him. So anything like that is a decent profit on a player. So yeah.
yeah,
And Scott
yeah,
says as well,
exactly. It's moving on up.
typical end of season game. Kamara thinks he will be sold as well. So obviously, Fashion Sakala got the second goal to put Rangers 2-1 up at that stage, and brilliant pass from Cantwell and an absolute defensive howler from the Hearts player. I don't know what he thought he was doing, and then Fashion runs in and manages to nutmeg the goalkeeper and score. Now, Fashion had, shall we say, an interesting game, Victoria. What was your take on Fashion last night?
He did have an interesting game. I mean, Fashion. I was definitely on the Fashion train at the very start of the season, and I have seen him start to come down a little bit, but he has these little pops where he'll make a really, really good goal. But then he'll have these little bits where he doesn't seem to know exactly where the net is, even when it's right there in front of him. Or he'll make a silly miss or something like that. I think what Owen and I were speaking about earlier was basically how Fashion is the kind of player that thinks about what he does and then he's like, oh no, and then he stumbles over it. If he doesn't think about what he does, he seems to just put it right in the net. And I don't know if he's getting in his head a little bit, but I know, Owen, you agree with me on that one. And let me know your thought process on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at Sakala, and it seems to me that when it's an instinctive shot or an instinctive cross or an instinctive pass, he kind of pulls it off. He doesn't think about it; he just does it. He reminds me a little bit of Andy Cole, an English footballer called Andy Cole, who would score 20, 25, 30 goals a season, but all his goals were when he didn't think about it, and then when he did, he blazed it wide over. Sakala's a bit like that, and I think he falls over his own feet when he thinks about it. I don't think he's good enough to start for Rangers. I think he's a squad player, don't get me wrong, and I think he's an impact player off the bench long term, but I just don't think he's a starter. Not if we want to be serious and contend with Celtic. You look at him and he's not good enough to be a starting player for this team, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's almost like he's not showing that consistency that we need in those starting players, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's what I think as well. Yeah. So Curry says here, I know Curry is a massive fan of Fashion. Sakala, not Fashion as in thing, because I've seen what Curry wears. Fashion had a decent game last night, put in Morelos 3 times so he could score. He did, but I think one of the passes, he kind of overhit it a little bit and forced Morelos out wide. Yeah, definitely. I think Fashion's a squad player for me. And Victoria, you've got an offer of a date here. Look.
I can see that. Well, it says cat promise I will behave.
Can't promise.
Cat. Oh, it makes me giggle. I love comments like that. It makes my day. I was going to ask you one. Before we jump on to Bradley's comment there, how do you guys feel in the comment section about Morelos yesterday? I felt really, really bad for him that he couldn't score a goal. There were like, 2 or 3 opportunities that he could have scored that he seemed to just miss him, just little tiny misses, and he wanted a goal so bad. I was sitting on my couch hoping and praying on the edge of my seat that he would have got one, but I felt sorry for the guy that it was probably his last game, but didn't get one.
No, yeah. I mean, he tried really hard. He did actually try really hard last night, and I think it was good as well that when he was substituted, it was during the game, so he could come off to that ovation and then the fans chanting his name as well. And I think for me, it's kind of, yes, Alfie hasn't had a great season, and I think part of the problem last night is he's just not sharp enough at the moment. I just think he's lacking this season. I think it's more about remembering what he has done for us in the past. That's more the positive side of it, and remembering, which we will do later on in the podcast. But I did feel for Alfie. He was trying very hard to score last night. Absolutely, yeah. But I mean, obviously, a lot of people have. One person's already brought it up in the live chat. The highlight was Alfie being Alfie, Victoria, going over and causing trouble with the Hearts bench, where he went over and he was winding up Stephen Naismith and the assistant. What was your take on that?
I loved it. But you know what? He's not winding him up. He's just making sure that he knows what the score is. And that's kindness. That is pure, pure kindness right from the heart of Morelos, the heart of Colombia. What can we say? But I love that. What a typical Morelos way to go out with.
Absolutely. Apparently, it was in response because apparently Stephen Naismith went up to Morelos and basically went like that and told Morelos he had a fat tummy, and that's apparently why Morelos then went over and responded. Apparently, that's what I've heard.
Oh, I see that. By the way, I don't know if you can still hear me, but my camera just went off for some reason.
We can still hear you, Victor. We just can't see. Just see you at the moment.
Okay. Let me see if I can get this fixed.
Are you back on now?
Better?
Yeah, you are back on now. Yeah, we have
Okay.
Victoria back now. And
It's
we've got
like
a few
ghost.
ghost. Yeah. We've got just a few more comments in the live chat. Just a few things to bring up here. Alexander, who's in tonight, says that from Gillespie, we bought Kamara 50k if we can sell him for 2 million, which is kind of what I was saying. Bradley said fashion plays 10 times better on the counter. That's what I mean about playing instinctively rather than having to think about it. Which is very
you guys are right there.
We've got a comment about Cantwell causing all red-blooded men, which we won't read this last bit of that comment out. But he's very popular. Very popular is Mr. Cantwell. CGM55 says good evening. Aldo said he's going to miss the wee mad gentleman. Would prefer a 20 goal
Owen.
season.
Owen has daughters and he tries to keep it so family friendly on here, so I so appreciate that.
We've got CGM55 says probably would still start Morelos on Saturday, mainly because Sakala is so rotten. It's unbelievable. He's a professional footballer. I think that's obviously in reference to Sakala. Corey says would love to have had Morelos scud Judas and get red carded. He would have left Ibrox a hero. I think he's talking about Naismith there. That was a sentiment quite a few Rangers fans expressed actually. And we've got Bradley was having a bet on the game last night apparently and was due some winnings. Victoria, that's what he's on about there. And Stephen Gillespie says glad to see the back of all the players except Arfield, but with Scotty he wants to play, so fair dues to Scotty. Okay, so overall, I mean, let's start off by talking about those 5 players that are leaving us at the end of this season, and there they are. There are the 5 of them.
Aww.
Now, before we kind of get on to talking a little bit positively about them, Victoria, can I just get your take on Ryan Kent's fashion sense in last night?
You know what, Owen? I have heard so many comments as I'm scrolling through my phone here, going through the Twitter, and I see all these comments about his fashion choice that he decided, how people think he should have suited right up and looked a little bit more professional, or maybe even worn a Rangers jersey or something like that. I agree with you. I don't know, maybe if there was something that happened in the background that they says, no, you dress in your own clothes or whatever, but I don't know. I think he should have been repping a little bit of more Rangers gear, especially for a moment like that.
Yeah, and he's getting a fair bit of criticism in the live chat. Aldo says he looked like a right roadman, which I now know what a roadman is after my daughter's told me what a roadman was. Gallant Pioneer said Kent had his BMX chained up outside Edmiston House. I also heard that someone said as well. If you look at this picture again, he looks like he's a competition winner. He's having his picture taken with the players.
It is possibly true. Actually, you know what he looks like when you think of it? If you look behind him at the Union Bears, he looks like a member of the Union Bears. So now that he is maybe winding down, there's an opportunity if he wants to join. He'd fit right in.
He could do, yeah. Depending on where, if he doesn't go to Turkey. If he goes to Turkey, it might be a bit far to come back. That's anything. What else have we got? CGM says Kent looked like he'd just been on a shopping spree at Sports Direct. Look to right, Ned, lol, Kent. I take it. Ned, it must be a Scottish word. McGregor should have left after the Scottish Cup final. And we've got Gallant says Helander's been in a wheelchair for 2 years and still wore the tracksuit. I suppose that's one thing. I mean, at least I suppose Kent could have worn the Rangers tracksuit, maybe at least.
Exactly, putting a little bit of effort, right?
Yeah, definitely. Curry says he would not have him in the cheese and onion bears. Never mind the Union Bears.
Cheese and onion bears.
And last comment from the live chat before we carry on with talking about the players. Wherever Kent goes, they'll need good skate parks in the area.
That is definitely what it looks like. But yeah,
I've got to say,
I don't
I
know.
love
I'll
our
miss
live
the
chat.
guy, but the fashion sense, that was not a good choice. I don't know who told him. I remember there was fashion is important. Fashion sakala is important, but also fashion in general is important. So like fashion that we wear on our bodies, Kent should have definitely upped his game a little bit, especially knowing that it was probably the big photo that was going to be taken, and it's probably going to go down in history. So he should have definitely done that. I remember I was at a NARSA convention I think it was in Las Vegas, and there was a young man there that is, I'd say, like fairly well known in like the band industry, and he brought I'm assuming it was his girlfriend along. Anyway, so this girl showed up wearing a full green outfit. And I looked at the guy and I said to him, I said, did you not tell her that green is not a color that we don't wear to a Rangers convention? Apparently she still wanted to wear it. So there are times when people still wear what they want to wear. And this was definitely one of those instances for Kent as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gallant Line asking the live chat to come up is why didn't Kent Gallant? That's why he didn't play. He's injured at the moment. So that's why he's not playing. Well, allegedly injured. The question here, by the way, for you, Victoria, which I don't get.
Grilled cheese or cheese on toast? Grilled cheese. I like grilled cheese sandwiches. We make them often in this house.
And Curry says, "Can you let Vic know that I look like Haji in
No
dark room with no
comment.
light on?" Gallant says, "You should have got that
I
girl
agree.
ejected." You
I
should have headbutted her,
definitely agreed.
Victoria.
Trust me, I made it well known when I said it directly to her. Why are you wearing this outfit? And did somebody not tell you?
Yeah. Definitely,
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
Curry, it's definitely a dumping king. So let's let you know. Obviously, last night's game was kind of like I say, it was a bit of a non-event in the end. It was all I think targeted towards, obviously, I think saying goodbye to those 5 players that were leaving, and I think as people said, it kind of showed what we do. We do need that rebuild. We do need to come back. And before we touch on those 5 players, Victoria, obviously news broke yesterday that Kieran Dowell has signed a pre-contract agreement with Rangers. So what were your thoughts and what's your take on the signing of Kieran Dowell?
So I don't know much about him. I will say that I don't know much about the guy, but from what I've heard, people are pretty excited about him coming on board. I'm one of those people that always think, okay, whoever the player is, bring him, but I want to see himself prove himself because actions speak louder than words. Depends how you're going to play on the pitch. I'm never going to judge a player or compare him to anybody else, but I will be watching from that first game when he steps foot on the pitch and he proves himself either to be a Rangers player or he proves himself to not be. So I'm always down to give somebody an opportunity to really see what it's like. What do you think, Owen? Do you know much about like his background or anything like that?
So I haven't seen a great deal of him. I do watch some Championship football down here in the UK, down in England, but no, I haven't seen Dowell play because he's been out injured. He sounds a promising player. A few Norwich fans have talked very promisingly about him and said that in their opinion he's better than Cantwell, which if he is fantastic. But again, I'm going to reserve judgment like you until I actually see him play for Rangers to see how he copes with playing in the Scottish Premier League, because I think. I can't remember who it was now, but there was an ex-Rangers player talking about it, and he said, look, he said you can have all the best stats in the world, and you can, or a particular type of stats in the world, but you don't know whether someone's going to cope with playing in the SPL or whether someone is going to cope in the Old Firm until you actually go and play in it. Because at the end of the day, it's especially the Old Firm, it's quite unlike anything you'll ever experience in your career. So I think it's only through only through actually seeing him play that we'll actually find out a little bit about whether he's going to cope and whether he's going to be a Rangers player or not. Gallant says in the live chat, I watched the Norwich fan on Rangers review talking about Dowell, didn't sound too great. CGM also brings it up as well. Rangers review interview with Norwich fan was not encouraging. Injury prone and inconsistent was the overall message on Dowell. No, Aldo, I agree with you on that. It's just that's what I've heard, shall we say. That's all I've heard. So, Victoria, of the 5 players then that are leaving at the end of the season, who do you want to talk about first?
I don't know. I'm going to give you 2 options. Do you want to jump on the Morelos train, or do you want to jump on the McGregor train, or should we save McGregor till last because he is such the legend that he is?
Let's save Allan McGregor. I was going to call him something else then. And remember, this is a family show. Let's save Allan McGregor.
Does it start with an S?
It does start with an S, and I made a joke about it to you the other day, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I remember that. I think you texted it.
Yeah, I asked you if you were the female version.
I wish.
And that's guys, that will be on the After Midnight show later on.
Exactly. Glasgow Rangers Nation After Dark.
with the lights off. Anyway, so let's talk about Alfie. Obviously lots of memories of Alfie, and look, I know that guys, I know in the live chat, I know that Alfie hasn't been great in the last 12 to 18 months, and he has got his detractors, but if we try and think positively about him over his actual time at Rangers and the positive things that he's done for the club, what do you Victoria, what are your overall impressions of Alfie?
So Alfie, I mean, I know recently a lot of people are saying like, okay, he's not the player that he was worked up to be at the very start and everything, but when I look at his overall career, I mean, one word to describe him: legend. He is so headstrong. He comes on the pitch to basically score a goal is his main objective. Whether he does it or whether he doesn't do it, he drives himself on pure success. And he's mad at himself when he gets taken off. He's mad at himself when he doesn't prove himself. But one of my favorite memories of Morelos was in 2017. I don't know if you guys remember this one, but it was against Ross County. And he made this fantastic, amazing goal where he slid right past the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper got the ball, placed it down, was about to kick it up the park, and Morelos swooped right in front of him, kicked it, and got it in the goal. That was by far one of the most memorable moments I've ever had of Morelos. It was so clever, so classy, so good. To me, that goal is Morelos in a nutshell. And that's something that he's going to go down in history for in my head. How about you, Owen? Do you have any favorite Morelos moments or want to reflect on him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just before I say, I want to say a massive thank you to Alexander, who sent a £10 super sticker to the channel. So thank you very much. £10 donation towards the channel. Thank you, Alexander, for that. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you. There's a few people here in the live chat as well mentioning as well. Gallant Pioneer says his favourite moment was Alfie when he done the throat slit gestures to the Celtic fans at Parkhead.
I remember that.
Always a controversial one. Curry says slapping leg muncher on the napper. I presume means Scott Brown there, who we all know and love. Look, Morelos,
absolutely.
I think another one, yeah, and that's Aldo as well. I mean, there's so many moments from Morelos's career. Goals in Europe, obviously one of the main things. Really important goals on the Europa League run, and I read something the other day saying that if he'd been fit and been able to play in that Europa League final, we probably would have won that game. I think there's a good chance that the cup would have been coming home to Glasgow if Morelos had played. But I think one of the biggest things Alfie is just absolute character, absolute warrior. Yes, there were moments when he got a bit hot-headed and he needed to calm down, but I mean, I know he didn't score a fantastic number of goals against them, but he did used to wind them up something chronic, didn't he? And I think that helped us in some games, the fact that Alfie was there giving them the wind up, and they were so obsessed with, kicking him and trying to get him into trouble that it took away from other players and gave other players the opportunity to actually score goals and to actually help us be successful against Celtic. So, but no, I mean, it's all, I mean, the European goals are one of the big ones for me, all those European goals, particularly the ones on the Europa League run last year. Scott says the Porto 2019 home and away goals, yet very memorable indeed. Gallant says, by the way, he done the throat slit gestures after being sent off.
Whether you do it before or after, we love you.
Good evening, Owen and Victoria, just home from work. Good evening to Blue Nose John. Hope you're doing well. Hope work was okay, buddy. Yeah, so overall, you know, he's someone who's contributed well to Rangers. His numbers are pretty impressive. Yes, I know he's never scored more than 18 goals in a Scottish Premier League season, but the guy's the top scorer in Europe for Rangers of all time. You know, there's a lot of fond memories. And I think, yes, at the moment it's very raw. And I think there are some people who are upset with Alfie for the last 12 to 18 months, how it's kind of gone. But I think in time, when we look back on it, Morelos will be kind of, I think he'll be remembered fondly, Victoria.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. He's one of those players that I'll really, really miss, just because he doesn't shy away from things, and he doesn't shy away from his personality, as you just spoke about. There's people that have legendary personalities within Rangers. One of the ones was obviously Paul Gascoigne. He had a personality and some amazing stories that you'll never forget. And then when you look at Morelos, he has the same, these amazing stories. He's himself, and he didn't try to be anybody else. So he's definitely one I'm going to miss for sure. And I'm sad to see him go.
JD says Brown still has nightmares about Morelos. Probably does.
Well, it's smack.
Yeah. CGM 55 says Morelos has been treated absolutely in an absolutely disgraceful manner by the media in Scotland, which I would 100% agree with. I think he has. Yeah. There was a bit of a witch hunt against him, but I don't know. Look, perhaps this is not the night for it, and perhaps that's for another podcast. But I do think the Rangers club and Rangers players do get a worse press than that lot across the city, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I loved it when Alfie slapped Brown on the back of the bonds. Very, very. That makes the point. Both Alfie and Kent will miss us more than we miss them. I suppose that's a reflection, perhaps, on the fact that will they go on to have success. Yeah. Blue Nose Johnson had tears in my eyes when Scotty came on and Alfie came off last night.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
I thought the banner they put up, "We salute you, Alfredo Morelos," and the chant "Alfredo Morelos" was I think that was nice tribute to him.
Yeah. It was, and he would have loved that. He loves the little bit being fed to him, so he loves the attention. So we're happy to give it to him.
Yeah. Remember when Alfie booted Brown in the Costa del Sols? Didn't know you had rhyming slang in Scotland.
I wish we had videos that we could put up watching these things, because I think they're so great.
Unfortunately, we might get done for copyright, I think, on that one.
We definitely would.
I think, moving on. I'm going to leave. Let's go on to perhaps probably one of the more difficult ones now. Let's talk about Filip Helander. We were talking about this before, and I think for me, Victoria, I don't know about for you, but I really feel for Filip Helander, because he's been out injured so much, and his legacy might be slightly tarnished by that injury. The fact that he's been injured for so long. Add to that, of course, the chance that he hasn't obviously had a chance to show us, that he's worth a new contract because he's been injured, and he still is injured now. But, for me, remembering back the 55 season, him and Goldson at the back, absolutely rock solid. They were, I think, which Michael Beale made this fantastic point in his press conference the other day. He said, Goldson and Helander were rock solid at the back. They were the rock that we built our season on and made us invincible, which I think is lovely. I think that's a little dig at that lot across the city, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I couldn't have said it better than you. He definitely left his mark when he had the opportunity to. And I do feel like it was kind of a sad thing that he hasn't got to prove himself. And obviously, like the past couple months that he hasn't been playing for Rangers, I think that obviously put in a major factor, the fact that his contract wasn't renewed. Could he have fought for it? Maybe. But I mean, it just injuries, right?
Yeah. Indefinitely. It just really held Filip Helander back.
And these massive decisions that fall on top of it.
Absolutely. Derek Gray says, gutted how it went for Big Phil. Was a class operator when fit, big game player. CGM 55 says, can't fault Helander, not his fault. He got his injury. He's had no injury history before he joined. We just broke him.
Poor Helander. I feel bad for the guy. I feel like maybe he should have been offered a a little bit of an opportunity, but I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, and you guys will probably be surprised for me to say this, but Hadji, I think, is very, very lucky that he wasn't included in those five, that he got an opportunity to come back to prove himself and to get the goal that he did. Because if he was still injured, out of those five people that we saw, he might have been one of the ones that was in that group.
Absolutely,
Because I
absolutely
mean,
could
it's
have been.
the same situation as Helander, right? Very, very
Yeah.
similar, but Helander just unfortunately is still off and didn't get that opportunity to show the player that he I'm gonna say that he is. Not could have
Yeah.
been, but he is.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Trying Scotsman says here, Big Helander might never play again. Hopefully not. Good luck to the big fella. I wish him well. Yeah, apparently there is something
Yeah.
apparently wrong with the bone structure in his foot, and that's apparently why he still hasn't been able
Mhm.
to come back. And
Yeah.
I do feel for him. You know, his career might be over at 30, which is for a footballer is no career at
Heartbreaking.
all. You know, it'd be
Yeah, that's
terrible if
absolutely
this is it.
heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Let's move on now. Let's talk about the the chav in the group, shall we? Let's talk about Mr. Roadman himself, Ryan Kent. Victoria, let you go first this time. What's your take on Ryan
Uh,
Kent?
I don't care what any of you guys say. I like Ryan Kent. I think he's great. I mean, to me, he was one of those fast players. And that's when I looked at him, that's what I saw. This guy that would just like speed right up the side. I think he's a great player. He put what he could have into Rangers, and I'm sad to see him go. But do I think it was the right opportunity? Possibly, but I'll miss him. He's definitely out of the group of the five. There's a couple that I'd say is ready to move on, but he's definitely one of the ones that I'll miss. And I know it's probably a controversial thing to say, but I like the guy. He was fast, and that was one of the things that we need. What about you, Owen? What did you think of him?
I mean, 55 season, I thought Kent was very, very good in the 55
Yeah,
season, and he did scare Celtic during that year, very much so. Um,
yeah,
But I think obviously as time went on, I think Celtic did figure him out to some degree, and he wasn't the player that he was at the start of his career. And I think, like a couple of people have said in the
yeah.
live chat, I think we missed a real opportunity with Kent to sell him, for 6-7 million. Um, you know,
Mhm.
but I think even last year there was performances that were outstanding. The European performances. I mean, the
Yeah.
game in Dortmund, I think he tore Dortmund apart. He absolutely ripped them to pieces. And I'm actually quite surprised that no German team has shown any interest in Kent, given the fact that the two German
Mhm.
teams we played last year, or three, I know, with Eintracht Frankfurt, but the two that we beat in RB Leipzig and Dortmund, who are two of the bigger teams in Germany, Kent
Yeah.
pretty much ripped them apart. I don't know. And I mean, there's some great moments. The goal against Celtic at Celtic Park, and the gun celebration that got him in so much
Mhm.
trouble. Obviously,
I
it's
remember that.
I mean, I know it's not the right thing to do, but it's look, as Rangers fans, we love things that wind Celtic up, don't we, Victoria?
Absolutely. The more the better. And the more players that we have on board that are going to do stuff like that, the more that we're going to absolutely love them. Especially with the way that Kent is, that Morelos was, and yeah, I'll miss that. I'll definitely miss that little bit of fire.
Yeah, and absolutely. That's JD says 55 season, the Dortmund game, Kent was unstoppable, and he was. And I think he
Oh
was
yeah.
a class act during that 55 season.
Little
He really
speedy.
did play well. Really did really, really well and tore Celtic apart on numerous occasions in that, during that. CGM says, was just thinking that Owen surprised Bundesliga team didn't take a punt on him. We could have had taken a couple of million for him to start of this season, obviously within the last year of his deal. And the Trying Scotsman says, Kent was pivotal in our journey to the final. It was a pinnacle of his career, which I think is very, very
Mm,
true for that. A little bit of debate in the live chat as well about Glenn Kamara and Kamara Roof. Roof's got 1 year left, and Kamara has 2 years left on his present
mm.
contract. For those of you who are asking about that. Right, Victoria, we've got two left in this. I'm going to go to the person that I'm going to most miss out of all of those. Scotty Arfield. I don't know about you, Victoria, but I love Scott Arfield. Just absolutely love him to bits.
Yeah, no, I think he's fantastic. I mean, he's Captain Canada. He is who he is. He's a Rangers fan. He's a Rangers player. through and through. I think we should have kept him, to be honest. One of my cousins absolutely adores him, so she was probably a little bit upset about that one. But I don't know. I think we should have kept the guy. What do you think, Owen?
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Scott Arfield get a 1 year contract.
Yeah,
If you look at what Arfield does, he comes off the bench, he bursts into the area, he scores that typical Scott Arfield goal, doesn't he? I mean, the one against St Mirren this year stands out with a 60 pass move. The other one, obviously, the big one, the one that stands out for most of me, obviously, is the goal against Celtic in the semi-final last year to bring it back to 1-1. There was the goal at Ibrox against Celtic as well. He is Mr. Rangers, and his interview last night really did move me. And the line that moved me most about in that interview that he gave last night, Victoria, was when he said that that he hopes that his daughters look back at his career at Rangers and say, "I think Daddy did all right," which I thought was
I think that's beautiful,
fantastic.
isn't it? It just shows how good of a heart he actually has, not just as a Rangers player or a Rangers man, but also as a family man. And he wanted to leave behind a legacy, and he did leave behind a legacy. So that's something really, really special.
Absolutely. And CGM says he loves Scotty Arfield. Trying Scotsman says Scotty Arfield had me in tears. I salute him. Nicholas Moore, Evening Owen and Victoria from the South Wales Loyal, joining us tonight. Nicholas, hello. My tears last night were all for Scotty. McGregor got them after last year's final. Says Derek Gray in the live chat. Lots of comments going through, trying to keep up with them. I think we wanted to, but he wanted more game time, and we couldn't promise him that, but gutted to see him go. We've got Aldo said, once we drop the egos, look how we played this season. I think he's talking about there. And Gallant says Aberdeen in the 3-2 win when he came on and scored those 2 goals, obviously at Pittodrie earlier in the season. I mean, he is absolutely fantastic. And Gallant says, I don't think it's the last we'll see of Arfield. He said he wanted to come back in some capacity. He did actually say that last night, that he would want to return to Rangers in some sort of capacity. So, I do think, the live chat are right. The reason why we didn't give Arfield a new contract was basically because, as Michael Beale said, it would be selfish if he'd kept him, because Arfield wants more playing time. He wants, to get more playing in time before the end of his career. So we couldn't promise him that. So I think it's fair enough that we've let him move on. And let him go and let him play. Stephen Gillespie says we have caught being sentimental before at 34 times up, regrettably for Arfield, trying to get a younger player, maybe Lowry, get those minutes. The Old Firm game at Ibrox in his first season when Tav scored that free kick and Arfield scored the second. Ibrox was bouncing with that day. It was, that was the goal that I was referencing, JD. Scotty will get a decent move. I really think Arfield should have had a 1-year deal. Scotty said he wants to end his time at Falkirk. Be nice if we could get them in the cup next year, maybe. Salute to Scotty anyway. Salute to Scotty.
Absolutely.
But no, I'm going to miss Scotty big time. He's one of those players that, it's just been superb since he's come into the club. And his attitude is first class. The way he conducts himself around the club is absolutely superb. And I know that he was one of the players that was used to help induct new players into the team. And he took them round and he got them settled in. He's just Rangers through and through.
He is. And I definitely hope that he does come back, like we said before, in some sort of capacity into Rangers, and he'll be welcomed with open arms, 100%. I mean, he is one of the people.
Absolutely. So we've got through 4 of those names on that list. We've left the best. Well, we've left the one to last that they left to last night, obviously. Allan McGregor himself. Victoria, just so many memories about Allan McGregor, aren't there? Absolutely so many memories. And look, putting to one side, like I hear what people are saying in the live chat, and look, I agree that he probably should have retired after the final last year. Perhaps he did go a year too far, but let's try and think positively about Allan. Look back on the best time, the best of Allan's career. Victoria, I'm sure you've got loads of memories of Allan McGregor.
I do. I mean, like, I was reflecting on it yesterday, and I remember I was on my phone and I was going back and forth with Owen, talking about these memories. But I mean, what can you say about the guy? What can you condense with such a long career at Rangers for such a legendary goalkeeper? I mean, he's someone that, like, when I think back at Rangers, I'm like, he's one of the first goalkeepers I really looked at that I was like, wow, and I've grown up with him through loving Rangers, through his career. And I think one of the things that I'll miss the most, other than him being in the net and saving each goal, but his personality and this like fun, sparkly, comedic side that he seemed to have to him. Like when he made the comment yesterday and someone said like what are you going to do next? And he's like, well, I think I'm going to go take a shower. It's little things like that that I will truly, truly miss about him. I mean, when I think of Rangers goalkeepers for myself, he's who I think of because he's the person that I grew up with, and I will tremendously miss him. I posted a video yesterday. Don't know if anybody saw it, but it was on my Instagram, which was Victoria's Secret 23. Long story why that's it. But I remember I was videotaping it, and when he came down the tunnel, I actually stood up and I just watched him because I thought, like, out of all the players that deserve the utmost respect, it was him for the legend that he is leaving behind at Rangers. Would I love to see him come back in some sort of capacity, maybe as some sort of a coach or some sort of an ambassador role, perhaps one day? Absolutely, because he is a Rangers man through and through. And my gosh, Owen, I could go on and on just praising him for the legacy that he left behind. But I'm going to stop myself because, like I said, I could go on and on. And I'm going to hand it over to you about some memories that you have of him.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the guy's he is an absolute lunatic. I mean, let's get that right.
Yes.
But you know what? One of the things I've always thought that I think to play in goal, you have to be a bit of a lunatic. I think, you know, even Gorham had that slight lunatic fringe about him, didn't he? And Woods to some degree as well, my favourite keeper. Stephen Gillespie says he hopes McGregor gets a spot on Sky or Rangers TV. Imagine the comment from Grugsy. I think that
would be amazing.
That'd be funny. And also, I mean, another positive as well. I mean, if he's on there and Chris Sutton's spouting his usual rubbish, McGregor will probably headbutt him and knock him out, wouldn't he? I'd imagine.
Put him in his place. That's what he'd do.
Absolutely. Don't Graces think McGregor rejected a coaching role already? Did he not? I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure
about
that. But yeah, so many top memories. Yeah, I mean, Trying Scotsman says to save against Werder Bremen. I mean, there was the save away in Prague as well. The saves, the penalty save from Samaras at Parkhead from the penalty. Just so many fantastic saves. But, you know, for me, the biggest thing that stands out from McGregor is just his passion for the club and his love for the club. And I think that kind of came across in the interview last night. And I don't, you know, Allan McGregor's never been the most open and forthcoming in his interviews, has he? And, you know, I know Adi McCoyster's joked about that and said, like, you know, when he's giving 1 and 2 word answers, that's him opening up. But I think just his passion and his love for the club and the fact that it really mattered to him and he really cared about it. And yeah, I mean, we've all got the funny stories about McGregor. I mean, there was the one where you know, he turns the Hamilton game when we drew 1-1 and he turns to the crowd. Well, there was no crowd because it was during COVID and was like, what was that? And then in his interview afterwards, he's really sort of upset about the game. There was the one where he kicks McNulty in the back, gets sent off and says to the players, I didn't do anything. And then when they watch it in the change room, they see that he actually did kick him in the back and the manager at the time comes out and says, what is wrong with you? But yeah, McGregor, he's probably he's up there, isn't he? Yeah, he's up there.
He's up there as one of the legends, that's for sure.
I mean, look, he's one of the greatest keepers of all time. I mean, Rangers have been exceptionally fortunate, haven't they, over the years that we've had some of the best goalkeepers. I mean, look, I can only go back to the 1980s. Chris Woods obviously stands out for me. Stefan Kloss stands out for me. Andy Gorham, obviously, who many people say is the greatest of all time playing for Rangers. Allan McGregor, you know, they're the names that stand out for me in my time watching Rangers. But yeah, he's an absolute legend, and he deserved the ovation that he got last night, and definitely deserves, you know, all the tributes. And look, whether he went on too long, we can debate that all we want another day. But for me, we just thank him for what he's done and thank him for the passion. And I agree with you, Victoria. The comment that he made at the end of his interview, you know, what's your plan for the future? I'm going to go and take a shower. That's just McGregor all over, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, round of applause to him. Absolutely. I mean, what a fantastic legend he is going to be leaving behind at Rangers.
Absolutely. Trying Scotsman says, walk through the doors, up the marble staircase at 10-11, Rangers through and through. CGM55 says, Woods, Gorham and Kloss were outstanding goalkeepers. They were, absolutely. I agree with, especially about Chris Woods. Don't forget Roy Carroll, lol. Yes, I think we'll try and forget about Roy Carroll as much as we can on that one. Not the greatest.
Could you imagine if, let's say you've seen into the future and you had obviously McGregor at such a young age and you brought up a video and you said, just so you know, look at all you're going to accomplish. Look how long you're going to be there for.
Yeah.
I wonder what he would have done. If you could see that as such a young kid, knowing that that one step that you're taking into a place is the place you're going to grow up, you're going to become a legend in there. People are going to absolutely fall in love with you, and you're going to have this massive legacy that you leave behind. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's every goalkeeper's dream, and he accomplished it, and he did it with class and dignity. So.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. And an emotional night, obviously, we say goodbye to those 5. We have obviously got that one game still remaining against St Mirren. It remains to be seen whether any of those guys will obviously be involved in that game against St Mirren on Saturday. But overall, Victoria, we now turn, obviously, don't we, to think about the future. We think about, obviously, next season. We think about this big rebuild that is going to come going forward into next season. What are your hopes, obviously, for the summer, Victoria? What are your hopes for Rangers going forward?
My hopes for the summertime is that Rangers are going to come together as a team. They're going to practice and learn how to not be selfish in some of the goals, not decide to take things themselves when they should pass them to other players, and create that, not just a team atmosphere, but a family atmosphere. And knowing that there's only one opportunity that we have, and that is to win at the end of the season. That's the goal. Obviously, there's other trophies that can be involved, but to win at the end of the season is the main objective. And what I would advise them, if it came from me, is yes, you have to think about that final goal, but to get to that final goal, you have to pass through all these games. So think about the one game, get through it, score as many goals as you can. And once that one game is done, maybe reflect on it for a moment, put it in the past, and move on to the next one. Don't focus on the third one that's going to be coming, just focus on that next game, because you have to do that next one and do well in it to get to the one after. So that's my advice for this summer, and then moving on to the up and coming season for the players. Of course, they're going to take it because they listen to the podcast.
They do, they do. I mean, they do. I mean, I know that Michael Beale is a big fan of yours, Victoria. I mean, he emailed me the other day saying, yeah, he did. He did. He's a massive fan, and I'm sure Yanis, who's just sat on the sofa over there, is listening as well, isn't he?
I wish. If only. There's my dream come true right there. That's what I hope happens this summer.
Yes, there we go. The Victoria's real major hope for the summer is that Yanis Hadji moves in with her over the summer.
If only.
CGM McCrory, Tav, Suter, King, Ridvan, Raskin, Lundstrom, Jack, Cantwell, Lowry, Morelos is my team for Saturday. Hadji might start, but I think Lowry needs 2 more. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see how Alex Lowry is. Obviously thinking about next season.
Yeah.
So I know for me, I think it's going to be an exciting. Just a comment that I saw on something else that was slow coming up on the here. That Gallant. I'm not going to Gallant. I'll bring it up on the screen. There you go, Victoria.
Not happening. Victoria's not into that.
Okay, yes. I think for me, it's going to be an exciting summer. Obviously, seeing who we're going to bring in. There's obviously lots and lots. We are going to be linked with every man and his dog between now and the start of next season. And we've already seen that, haven't we? We've been linked with countless strikers, Madja, Perot, Kristovic. There's another guy today whose name escapes me. Cifuentes deal looks like it's going to be close to being done. Butland deal obviously is on, it's off, it's on, it's off. We don't really know what's going on with that. The Dujon Sterling deal looks like it's going to get done soon. it's just going to be a very exciting summer, seeing who's going out, who's coming in, and also for me as well, seeing how Michael Beale shows us what sort of a coach he is. Proves to us that he is the coach everyone says he is. Everyone talks about Beale being this amazing coach, being one of the best coaches in the game. This is time for him to prove it now, to bring in his players, to mold them together into a team, so that when we see that Rangers team in the first game, whatever that first game is, that we sit there and we go, yeah, he's done it. This is awesome. This is fantastic. But yeah, that it's going to be a really exciting summer for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Owen. You couldn't have said it any better. And I'm 100% on the exact same train as you are. It'll be very interesting to see what happens this summer and give the guy an opportunity to prove himself, build his team, and show us what he wants to show us, which is a winning team.
Absolutely. One last question, I think, Victoria. I don't know if you see Malik Tillman, right? We still don't know what's going to happen with Malik Tillman. It's very 50-50. Do you think there's anything in I don't know if you've seen this, Victoria, but apparently he's changed all his social media images to a picture of him in a Rangers shirt. Do you read anything into that, or is that just Tillman being Tillman?
I am looking on it right now, actually. He has changed into him in a Rangers shirt. Well, I mean, all power to him. Give the guy an opportunity. I think he has a chance to be a great Rangers player, but I mean, definitely more practice is needed. But he has the whole summer as an opportunity to get himself ready and then to walk back on the pitch at the start of the season and show us that he well, I'm going to say what our friend Gallant Pioneer says and basically not say goodbye. We're going to switch it around there.
We don't know that, do we? Yeah, but we have been linked with loads of players. It's going to be very, very exciting, obviously, going forward through this off season. Okay, so guys, we could call that a night there. Thank you so much to everyone in the live chat. As always, your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Also, all your Hadji jokes at the end at Victoria's expense as well. Victoria's not like that at all.
I'm a good girl.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We will be back, obviously, back as well with another podcast very soon. Victoria and I will plan. And also, even through the off season, guys, we're going to keep going. We won't be stopping over the off season. We will keep going. Victoria's got some fantastic ideas for the channel as well over the off season, which we'll share with you as soon as we've obviously talked about them ourselves and got them into place. But no, we will keep going through the off season. We will keep bringing you your team every single day, talking Rangers all the time, because I don't know about you guys, but I could talk Rangers 365 days a year for the rest of my life, and it wouldn't bother me at all. Victoria, are you the same on that?
I'm the exact same way. You know what? I was born a Rangers supporter. I will die a Rangers supporter. My blood runs blue, and I'm Rangers through and through. So that's the best way I can say it.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you very much indeed. If you enjoyed the content and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that sub, ring that notification bell. And if you can give the podcast a like, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you again to absolutely everybody. We'll be back to speak to you again really soon here on Glasgow Rangers Nation.